Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo, and I'm a gamer. Have been for a long time. Don't intend on quitting. Don't intend on stopping. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. I'm not a user, but I'm a gamer, which I think in some aspects could be considered as one form of vice or addiction over another, really. But hey, I'd like to argue that I spend way less money being a gamer. For the most part, for the most part. But another thing that kind of cracks me up about being a gamer is all the controversy that surrounds it, right? And why the companies do what they're going to do. Now, recently, Sony's been making a bit of a mess, right? They've been making a bit of trouble for themselves in regards to how they handle sexual content on the PlayStation 4. And by handle it, I mean like censor it. When the other guys, even Nintendo, family-friendly Nintendo, not doing it as much. Not doing it as much, but Sony's afraid of the titties. Sony is so afraid of titties that it's possible it's going to lose a large part of its fan base as a result of this. I'm not even kidding you either. I wish I was. But they decided to clarify. They wanted to clarify why they're trying to shield the boobs, why they're trying to remove sexualized content. And just the tagline to this article here saying the policy was introduced kind of suddenly in the wake of the Me Too movement. So Sony, at least a spokesperson, is effectively confirming that PlayStation, the PlayStation brand, Sony Entertainment of America, or Sony Computer Entertainment of America, is shielding some boobs because they are afraid of the Me Too movement. It's happened, fellas. The Me Too movement's come for your games. Somewhere right now, Anita Sarkeesian is cackling. Now it says here, Sony has a problem with sexual content on the PS4. Well, that was a mere speculation for the last year or so, despite numerous stories saying otherwise. And this is like true. This is the headlines that they link to. Booby Dungeon Crawler Omega Labyrinth rejected by Sony. Senra Kagura Burst Renewal delayed as Xseed removes intimacy mode. I remember that happening. Senran Kagura 7, currently impossible to release due to Sony's content restrictions. Nekopara Volume 1 removes setting and alters imagery for its PS4 release. And finally, this has happened like literally the other day. Devil May Cry 5 update removes nudie lens flare in America, but not Europe. That's because Sony literally had to remove a nudie lens flare that blocked a butt. A butt. Seriously, it blocked an ass crack. That's what it was. That's what they were freaking out over. I don't get it, Sony. What the hell, man? Now, a recent report from the Wall Street Journal has outright confirmed the policy shift from the platform holder. In an interview with the publication, Sony says, Sony is concerned that the company could become a target of legal and social action, hence the shift on sexual content. Legal and social action? Legal and what the hell does that even mean? Legal and social action. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. As detailed in the report, a lot of this new policy is a reaction to the Me Too movement. Executives at Sony are worried about the reputation of the platform if it continues to host content that is sexually objectifies women. Okay. But art is subjective. That's the whole point here. Art is subjective. Those 4 syllables. I don't think I need to explain them. It's subjective. And I'm not sitting here getting upset because, there's no titties in games. I could literally care less about anime games. I don't care. But if art is subjective, and if the boobies are part of art, then let the boobies stay. Anyway, as well as social movements, Sony's concerned over the advent of streaming services allowing region-specific content to be viewed on a global scale. Since some standards only apply to certain countries, Sony doesn't want to be seen hosting a game in the US that's hypersexually charged. Okay, so in some countries like Japan, hypersexualized content is pretty much on the norm It's not out of the question. It's not out of the blue. People are totally cool with the amount of sexualization and content in video games and other forms of media in Japan. I mean, there's always like the rumors that go around about like the love motels and the you could buy panties from, used panties from like vending machines. All people have been quick to disprove that, but I haven't been there, so I can't prove it myself or disprove it anyway. There's always those things about Japan. It's a very sexually charged country, and I think it's because of how regressive the overall hierarchy of the society is. In my honest opinion, the more repressive something is, the more it comes out in very, very, very ugly and deviant ways. And I think that really applies to some fucking anime that I've seen. Anyway, Sony doesn't want to be seen hosting a game in the US. That can get it in trouble socially speaking. Because listen, this is the thing. This is a valid thing worth fighting back against. Like being mad at Mortal Kombat 11 for kind of like putting a boob plate on Siren or something, whatever the hell. I don't know the characters now. I haven't played Mortal Kombat in years, but like that's not. I don't know. I don't think it's as bad because it doesn't impact the core gameplay as a game. Removing an intimacy mode because it doesn't want to be Me Too'd. I just would like to remind the audience at home that this ultimately boils down to ones and zeros, binary code, also subjective art, which is subjective. But the Nintendo Switch allows this shit. The Nintendo Switch allows this stuff. The Nintendo Switch won't allow voice chat because they're afraid of what's going to happen. They're afraid of what people are going to say to one another. They're afraid of naughty words, but they are supportive of the titty. So by all means, you got to take one with the other these days, it feels like. Now, this has obviously angered some game developers, as one unnamed CEO told the Wall Street Journal, "You don't know what they will say until you complete the work and submit it for review. And if they are not happy, if they even if they allowed the same degree of sexuality a few days before, we need to take it back and ask our staff to make adjustments. That's very costly," which is true. Updates and going back and fixing things and adjusting things cost money. So what they're going to do to get around that particular problem is they're just stop going to make this stuff a thing. They're going to kill this in the design phase. They'll be like, "Oh yes, we'd love to show you the titty, but we can't because we don't want to be banned in America." Right? We are such a sexuality repressed country anyway. You can show a dude being completely eviscerated. You can show a dude getting castrated in a video game, and it would be met with thunderous, riotous applause, a standing ovation at E3 from the developers. They're like, "We haven't seen our balls in years." But you show a titty, and you have Patrick Klepek covering his eyes, going, "No, the titty! I can't see the titty." It's one of the most ass backward things I've ever seen. I've ever seen. It's so crazy. Now, this wouldn't be so much of a problem if Sony had written guidelines on what it deemed acceptable content. The company doesn't yet offer the convenience because the policy was introduced kind of suddenly in the wake of the Me Too movement, according to a Sony rep. That's the reason this policy shift comes off so sudden and abrupt, because it is. Sony is trying to figure everything out on the fly, and the developers are left to cope in whatever way that they can. And that's sad. I'm not going to lie. That's sad. The Me Too movement, I actually talked to a woman the other day, and the Me Too came up. And I was like, "What do you think of the Me Too movement?" And she looks at me and she goes, "It's gone too far." And she's a big Johnny Depp fan, which is one of the reasons why she says that. She says that it went too far because Johnny Depp being run through the ringer in the way that he was is now having some seriously weird implications for Hollywood. And I should do a video on that too, to talk about the fear Warner Brothers currently has around Johnny Depp in the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement as a whole, I believe, is there to fight against actual injustice. I do. I think that its core element is it should be to do that. You want to crack down on sexual harassment and all this shit, I'm all happy. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But when video game companies in another country are like, we'd rather not deal with the hypersensitive nature of Americans, what does that say about us? What does that say about us? And also, how do you fight back against this problem? You fight back against this problem I'm going to be honest here, not through YouTube videos bitching about it. That's the damn honest truth right there. All right, this is a societal issue. And it's going to be this way for a few years. So the key here is you just don't buy the stuff. You just don't buy the games. If they're doing it because Sony's making them doing it, then you just don't buy it on that platform. You buy it elsewhere, or you don't buy it at all. You got to vote with your wallet on this one. At the same time, contact your representatives if you can. I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything. I don't know if you'd be able to call, your local representative and go like, hi, listen, this is kind of an odd thing here. Would you be willing to write a letter to like maybe, I don't know, like PlayStation and use the hashtag release the titty? Could you use that? Because this is a bigger issue than just what you think. I mean, like, how do you have it? How do you have that conversation? How do you have that conversation about this type of content? How do you have that in a way that is going to be seen as productive in this country? It is such a difficult thing to do, but people aren't going to do it. That's the whole point. They're not going to have that conversation. You know what they're going to do? They're going to get mad. They're going to fire up their anime avatar Twitter alts, and they're going to go out there and they're going to say mean things to people on Twitter, which then generates mean headlines. And then nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. All you're going to do is it causes a shitstorm, and the people who talk about it profit. That's the truth. I'm being honest with you here, guys. I'm being honest with you. But then again, the internet isn't about honesty. Not one goddamn bit. So here's what you do. You don't buy it, and then you contact the representative with a very well designed and written proposal, putting it in the context of freedom, putting it in the context of artistic expression, and then maybe put some political pressure on Sony to release those claims. But if Sony is afraid of the Me Too movement, what the fuck does that say about the Me Too movement? Like, what does that say about us, that video game companies in another country that oftentimes have very little to do with the Me Too movement are now afraid of it? I don't even know. I just damn work here. Oh, we are so screwed. Remember, guys, go back 20 years. It's been almost 20 years since the South Park movie came out, where Sheila Broflovsky says, violence and gore is okay as long as you don't say any naughty words. We've moved past the naughty word phase, and now we're on to the titty. Violence and gore are okay, provided you don't show any titty. I don't know about you, but if you were to ask me which I prefer, violence or gore or titties, I would choose titties 99.9% of the time out of 10. You know why? Because boobs are great. They're fantastic. You get to hold them, you get to juggle them, you get to smash a face in them. They give life if you're an infant. They provide you a place to sleep if you're drunk, or if you're an infant, or if you're both. Who knows? We have some weird parents in this country. Okay, fine. Last thing I'm going to say on this before I end this. Okay, is there a way to take this argument, by the way, and turn it into like a pro breast cancer research thing? Could you reach out to these developers and sit there and say to them, hey guys, do you want to save the titty? Right? If you want to save the titty, let's make this a breast cancer awareness issue. Have a breast cancer awareness issue. Tie that to it. And then watch them go like, we need more nudity. Bring attention to the breast cancer. Hashtag save the titty. Oh my God. We are so screwed. Anyway, your thoughts, your opinions. I want to hear them. Write them down below. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. And oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, all we want to do is play video games. That's it. Right? That's it. But no, now we got to fight over titties.